Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Will history repeat itself as it often does with the coming No Kings protest and the I think it was 532 Nika riots in Constantinople, basically where there was riots throughout the city for days, and eventually there was a slaughter of the rioters in a hippodrome. Uh, 30,000 died. And then Constantinople under Justinian I went on to become the most prolific Byzantine empire in history. So could that happen with America? Now, I don't think that we need to slaughter 30,000 people, although that could happen throughout many cities upcoming. I think there could be an arrest of these Antifa, No Kings protesters. I think just get them in one place and just arrest them all, right? So that's Mike. That's Mike because Mike looks at history. Mike has memories of the Nika riots, right? I believe that Belisarius, who was the general that basically did that slaughtering, is a reincarnation of Trump. Now, Trump is probably as we've seen, far more peaceful, probably because of his history of having been Patton and Belisarius and probably some other generals throughout time. But he's been very peaceful ruler, done very good job. I think that the fact that he's been putting military surgically into the cities very early has been helping to quash what could be a lot of violence in those cities on an extreme level. I think that extreme level is coming. I think that sometimes you have to act, and you have to act aggressively. Otherwise, things get out of control, like they did with the Nika riots back in 532, and what I believe we're starting to see now in America. Same situation. History repeating itself once again. All right, so let's look at a little bit of history. First of all, we're going to look at Melania. So Melania Trump is, I think, doing a very good job. All right. I think many people all over the world see her as a great asset to the presidency. Great first lady. Very attractive, very well-spoken, educated. You know, she's like that other side of things that we've seen in the past. We've seen the opposite of what Melania is pretty much in the Oval Office for many presidencies, unfortunately. So Melania Trump says back channel with Putin led to return of Ukrainian children. The First Lady said she has been in contact with the Russian leader since sending him a letter in August expressing concern for abducted children. So we know that she is very active with the children, as is President Trump. And as many of us have been reporting, that of all of the abductions of children, trafficking of children, and the disappearance of children, unfortunately, President Trump has been more active than any other president in history. And of course, his lovely wife, Melania, is at the forefront of that as well. So now, if we look back, like I talked about in a show recently, where I talk about the white hats, the red hats, and the black hats, we have seen probably back channel type stuff that is happening. Of course, it's happening on both sides. If we look at back channel type stuff with JFK, one of the reasons why we have heard that he was assassinated from people that were part of that red hat back channel, dark hat group, right? And there is I believe, a white hat, red hat back channel, right? So, there's like, there is this little war that's going on right now. And a lot of people are being exposed to it. And, I've been in combat for most of my life, I've seen the horrors of combat. I'm seeing the horrors of combat now in America. And a lot of people are starting to be exposed to it, and they're not liking it. They don't understand it. All right. So one side has to win. Which side do you want to win? Do you want your side to win? Of course, the other side wants their side to win as well. So there is this, this back and forth that's going on right now. And this has happened, obviously, many times in history. And the one that I'm speaking of that I'm going to highlight is a time where basically they stood firm, and they went on to rule for 30 years in one of the most glorious golden ages in history, right? That only was stopped out by a bubonic plague, right? The first bubonic plague. Very similar to what we have seen now, isn't it? So we've already seen a plague, the COVID, and we're seeing this uprising, just like they saw back in Constantinople. So the First Lady, Melania Trump, is a back channel. And just like President JFK had his own back channel there to the Russians, they used that as an excuse to assassinate him, right? The Red Hats, right? So the Red Hats, I've actually had James Files on my show multiple times with Ole Demigard and others, where we discussed how he was part of basically a Red Hat group that came in and assassinated President Kennedy because he had gotten out of line, according to the deep state, right? So again, we're going to see this push back and forth of these factions. I think that President Trump is at the forefront of a President Kennedy-like faction now, and that he has Red Hat activity going on for the good guys now. So the Black Hats started, I believe, this Red Hat activity where they had these assassins, and they call them the 30 Assassins. James Files was one of those assassins. And he talked about how there's this whole group, and they have these women. All right. So we've had lots of people come on and talk about this, about how there's women that are basically come in and, give these guys or with these guys, right? Kind of like a Jeffrey Epstein type situation. And Kathy O'Brien has been on my show talking about this, how they develop these girls from birth to be spies, and they pass information, they have sex with these presidents and men and so forth, and they're gathering information for the dark side, all right, the Black Hats. So the Black Hats use like Red Hats, right? So Kathy O'Brien, I would say, would have been a Red Hat that is now a White Hat, all right? I know it gets a little confusing here, but you can switch sides and you can go to the good guy side. That's what we hope everybody does, but some will not. Now, James Files, in my opinion, has gone to the good guy side, and he is disclosing about the use of he being a Red Hat by the Black Hats. All right, so he was the assassin behind the picket fence that shot President Kennedy and blew the back of his brain out. All right, so he talks about that. He's been on my show many times, and he talked about how they would use these women. One of them was for Ted Kennedy. She got out of line, and James Files and his group came in and they suffocated her, put her in the car, and Chappaquiddick, they pushed it into the water. And Ted Kennedy, after they said, you can go to the police after we leave the island, because they had to catch a ferry off the island. So they got on the ferry, and then he went to the police like 2 hours later, and everybody's like, why did you wait 2 hours? Well, because those guys that killed her, killed his, I guess, his squeeze, his this woman that's basically part of the Red Hat group that was gathering information. She was getting out of line, so they had to eliminate her, right? Kathy O'Brien was going to be eliminated. and she was saved. Her daughter was part of this process too. She rescued her daughter. So it's a red hat, black hat, white hat, red hat operations that are going on all over the place right now, right? So Melania Trump having a back channel to Putin, Russia, would have been grounds for the black hat, red hat operations to kill her, right, in the past. So that's where we're at. We're at a very, very interesting, inflection point in America, where one side is going to win decisively, right? So it's very important that everybody understands this process, because through that understanding, it's a shield. It's a shield for us against the deep state, right? So if we have that knowledge, if we have that understanding, then their fear and manipulations that they use to usually control people, we're shielded from it with our knowledge, right? So you need to understand how this is working. So Melania Trump, back channel to Putin, leading to the return of Ukrainian children. So we're in a reveal of children being used by the deep state, the black hats, because they're innocent and they like to use them. They like to use that innocence because they're extremely bad. Right? I'm not going to go too deep into this. We've talked about adrenochrome and sacrifice and all this kind of stuff in other programs, and lots of stuff. But just understand that this is being exposed, and this is part of that process, right? It's a slow process to try and awaken as many people as possible. But at some point, in my opinion, you're going to have to do a Nika riot type situation. All right, so let's go a little bit further into history here, so that we can understand what Mike is talking about as far as like the Nika riots. So some of you, it's basically you're not that much into history, but history is very important, because you will repeat history if you fail to learn the lessons of history. So we have a history lesson that we're all up against right now, and we need to learn from it. Otherwise, we're going to repeat it in a negative way. So we want it to happen in a very positive way, like it did then. But if it doesn't happen, because it was right on the cusp, Justinian was ready to walk away. But I think it's Isadora was his wife, basically convinced them that it's better to be buried in your purple robes, which was the sign of royalty back then, than to run and live like a pauper or whatever. So it ended up being good. And that's what we're seeing right now with America. Are we going to just let them take over? Because we're right at that cusp, right? Or are we going to basically fight back, right? So there could be some issues. I think there's going to be issues in some cities. Like I've said, some cities are going to be destroyed. So what to know about the upcoming Kings protest? No Kings, right? So they're all about no Kings, which is ridiculous, because in a communist situation, the communists are the ones that are the kings, and they're worse than the other kings, right? So this is what these people don't understand, because they're brainwashed into believing that communism is the way to go. They believe that capitalism is a curse, and that anyone that believes in capitalism is bad. If it wasn't for capitalism, they wouldn't even exist, literally exist. So they don't realize that. They're brainwashed, and we have to resist these people, these brainwashed people, right? So it's possibly going to get ugly. Right? I don't think it's even started yet, guys, compared to what's going to be happening. So what to know about the upcoming No King protest? Demonstrations will once again take to the streets for No King's Day, a nationwide series of protests against the Trump administration. So that's not really against the Trump administration. It's against us that are conservative, that believe in families, that believe in good, like religion, Christianity, all the things that are like make everything great, I believe, they don't like that at all, right? And so we're bumping up against that. So while protests against President Trump have not been uncommon since his first term, No King's Day kicked off on June 14th. That was the Army's 250th anniversary military parade and also President Trump's 79th birthday. Right. So across the country, 2,000 No Kings protests are scheduled for next Saturday. 2,000. All right. According to a post from the Indivisible Project. So there are plans against major cities like Los Angeles, of course, Boston, of course, Washington, of course, Chicago, of course, Atlanta. All these are known. We know these are compromised cities and cities that I believe every one of these cities will be gone. Atlanta, New Orleans, Kansas City, Missouri. I don't know about that one, but in Bozeman, Montana, I don't believe that's going to go, but they're, going to basically protest there and maybe even riot. Planned protests stretch into Canada and as far south as Madrid, a town in Mexico. So October 18th, 7 days from today, next Saturday, there will be millions, as they say, of us rising again to show the world America has no kings and the power belongs to the people. All right. So these are communists. These are terrorists. And I think they need to be treated as such, guys. I think these people should be rounded up. Wherever they go to protest, they should be rounded up and thrown in jail. I'm just saying it, right? I'm just coming right out and saying it, right? It gets me in trouble, whatever. Somebody has to say it, and it needs to be done at some point. The sooner, the better, right? So that's pretty much what we're seeing upcoming. Now, No Kings movement issues warnings ahead of next anti-Trump protest. Warnings, because President Trump, the king, I guess, to them, has put out a lot of military into cities, and he could possibly put out more military. All right, so No Kings movement issues these warnings, and they talk about different things. Where's the article? It disappeared. Look at that. It's like doesn't want to show. How about that? Huh. It's like, no, you cannot show us. Wow. How about that? Come on. Continue, whatever. All right. Newsweek came out after me personally. So maybe this is them coming at me again. They've come in after me before in the past for posting stuff. So anyway, they're out there saying, I read their article, so I'll tell you what it said. It said that they're concerned and they want people to not get violent, which of course they want them to get violent. All right. They're going to have, this is Antifa going to show up with these guys. Antifa is a violent organization. They're the brown shirts of the Democrat Party. So they're going to use this as a way to come into these events and start riots, just like they did with the last protest we had. Not Rodney King, but the I Can't Breathe guy. Well, I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, they're basically going to do the same thing again. They're going to protest, and these protests that are coming are going to be even more violent than the ones we've seen in the past. So George Floyd, yes, thank you. Wolf Mother. So George Floyd riots were prelude to what is coming, right? So you know how violent they were, how they burned cities, how lots of people died. So will President Trump this time really crank down on them? He's got to do it. He's got to do it. And will his red hats make that happen? All right. So that's what I'm looking at. So the red hats are kind of like they're dicey. They're dicey, right? But you have to have these guys ready in case things get out of hand. because the black hats have their red hats, right? So we should have red hats, and I know that we do. I've seen their involvement. I don't know their group specifically, but I know they're in that. I know some of the people that are involved because I see them, right? I've seen them, and I saw some of them at Charlie Kirk, the Charlie Kirk event shooting, right? That's basically moving us into the direction of where we need to be going forward, guys, right? So is it all, pushing us into this direction that we're going to have to like really fight back against this Antifa, no kings, communist, radical, women with the nose rings type movement? It's out of control. It's out of control. And God, those women, when you bring that up, boy, do they blow up. And that's why I just said it. All right. So, wow, they don't like men at all. They make it known. So, and there are probably going to be a lot of those women that are going to be marching in these No Kings coming riots, right? So DHS adding additional protection, Department of Homeland Security adding additional protection around Boardview Ice Center near Chicago. Now, I've seen that there also have been some fencing, some heavy duty fencing going up around Washington, D.C. Was this anticipating this coming No Kings, coming riots? And I'm telling you guys, if I would like, okay, you guys have your little protest, and we're going to make it all safe for you in this box. We're going to put up this fencing. You're going to be safe in here. You got everybody. You got everybody here. Everybody good? Remember J6? Remember J6? Yeah. We're going to like arrest every one of you. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little over the top, but that's the way I would do it, guys. Right? And it needs to be done. At some point, if we don't do it, soon, it's going to get super violent to the point, because just like we're doing with the violent criminals that are here illegally, we need to start arresting these people because they're terrorists, right? They're terrorists. They're going to tear down America. And no kings. Are you kidding me? We've never had kings here in America, jackasses. So anyway, this is part of the deception that they use to basically destroy what's left of America. We're teeter-tottering right now, and they want to push us over the edge.
Thanks for putting down the fact.
All right, so let's just put it in. They're getting ready. They're getting ready for the violence. Now, is it just for the No Kings event? No. They're going to have to build that wall, and that's going to be permanent until their No Kings movement is done. All right, the No Kings movement has been obliterated here in America. So, I'm a very loving, humble, and peaceful guy, but we're reaching a point where we need to really start to take action. And if we don't do that, then we're doomed. All right. We're doomed like those back in 532 AD in Constantinople, right? At the time, it was a great empire. But it was just like America is now. It was teeter-tottering, right? The sports riot that nearly destroyed Constantinople in 532. Now, we've seen, sports riots in Europe. We've seen, winning teams here in America, they are the losing team. They riot, they burn, stuff. It's crazy. But it all pales in comparison to what happened in Constantinople back in 532. The Nika riot, alternatively referred to as the Nika revolt or Nika uprising, 532 AD, was one of the deadliest riots in human history, and certainly the worst to have occurred in the late period of antiquity. It led to the deaths of approximately 30,000 people. Now, I don't know. In comparison, we're probably talking millions, guys, which I think is very possible, unfortunately, going forward in some of our cities. The riot occurred during the rule of Roman Emperor Justinian I and was largely instigated by the city's two major chariot racing teams. There was actually four. There was a Reds, there was a Whites, the Blues, and the Greens. But the Blues and the Greens were basically at each other. And so there had been problems before. And so now they teamed up. They teamed up, and they're like, we hate our elite. We hate our king. Sound familiar? And so they're basically going to riot, and they started rioting in the Hippodrome. Now, I've been to Constantinople. I've been to this area. For me, it brought back memories because I have been there in past lives. So it was pretty interesting to see the palace. Justinian basically came out. So the Hippodrome was central to political and social life of Constantinople. Estimates regarding the Hippodrome's seating capacity range from 30 to 60,000. Due to its size and capacity for a large audience, it was an ideal place for the emperor to address the population. Kind of like, the Roman Colosseum, but this was even bigger. So you look at that, and it was magnificent. It was the biggest in history. So violence was not uncommonly spilled outside the Hippodrome into the streets after some of these events, kind of like what we still see throughout the world. All right. So violence after these events, people get all wound up, and whether they win or lose, they cause riots. It's crazy the way the human consciousness is, but it's still the same. It hasn't changed much, has it?
I'm still not sure.
And it's going to be a problem coming up. So it goes on to fall. So the cause of the Nika riot appear to have been a mixture of simmering political and social tension. Sound familiar? These came to a head at the Hippodrome, where the emperor was met with jeers and insults from the crowd. Sound familiar? All right. So the Blues and the Greens sought clemency because they'd done some crimes. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So they started rioting. All right. Justinian refused, leading to dire consequences. The two rival factions, the Blues and the Greens, who had perpetually clashed, forged an uncommon alliance. In unison, the populace, like the the Antifa and BLM with the leftist, that's pretty much what we're seeing right now, right? Uncommon alliance. So they, in unison, the populace began chanting Nika, signifying victory or conquer in Greek. This chant, previously employed to rally behind charioteers at the Hippodrome, now resonated as a collective reproach directed towards the emperor, right? The king, Trump, all right? So the seething crowd launched their initial assault on the Praetorium, the very side of the housing prison. So they basically spilled into the streets. The emperor retreated into the great palace walls, and then they started burning, just like they did during George Floyd, just like they're going to do coming up again. Once again, it's going to reach this. It's going to reach this again, guys. It's going to happen again. All right. So as dawn broke on the following day, January 14th, so this was the chariot races were on the Ides of March, right? Or no, the Ides of, January, whatever it was. So anyway, Justinian reappeared at the Hippodrome, his last-ditch endeavor to quell the unrest. This time, the emperor yielded to the rioters and agreed to the ousting of the deeply unpopular prefect, John the Cappadocian, and Castor Tribonian from their positions. By now, however, the rioters were beyond reconciliation. So give them an inch, they want a mile, and give them another inch, they want another mile. So That's what has been going on, I believe. All right. We've been giving these people leeway and giving them what they want, thinking that they will be satisfied, but they want more and they want more and they want more, and they're going to take over. And it's going to destroy everything that America has worked for the last hundreds of years. All right. A great fire spread across the Capitol, engulfing several important buildings such as the Hagia Sophia and the Senate House. The Hagia Sophia, I've been there, unbelievable. During its time, it was the most, it was impossible. No one could build what they built, but they did it, right? So unbelievable, still going there today. It's a magnificent building. The situation was made worse still by members of the Senate who opposed Justinian. Sound familiar? With the riots in full swing, they saw an opportunity to depose the emperor. So what we're seeing right now with the Senate, the Democrats in the Senate refusing to pass the bill, all right, for funding, the funding bill, and it's causing lots of problems. The Democrats didn't want to fund the military, their pay. All the Republicans did, but the Democrats didn't. So President Trump has promised that the military is going to get their pay. Very smart, right? So it ends up they chose somebody else. Hypatius was former Emperor Anastasius' son, I think, or nephew. And so they're like, he's going to be our ruler now. So they put him in Justinian's chair that he would be in. It would be like them going into the White House and going into the Resolute desk and putting somebody else there that they wanted there. All right. So don't think that they don't want to do that. They would, if emboldened, they would do that. So the rioters were crushed. Now, this is where Empress Theodora came in. So, you know, the women have done a really good job, you know, over the last several years of, you know, keeping things in line. So Theodora back then, you know, came out and basically said, hey, royal purple makes a fine burial shroud. So we need to hold the line here. So Generals Belisarius and Mundus, with the leadership of the troops, tasking them with crushing the rioters at the Hippodrome. So they blocked off the Hippodrome, just like I think they should block off those protesters, right, and arrest them. But in this case, because they had done incredibly evil things and they were very, you know, unjust in many ways and needed to have justice served to them, they went in and slaughtered them, right? So they locked the doors, the soldiers and the generals went inside and they killed everybody, right? So the same grand chariot racing area that witnessed the inception of the Nika riot became the site of its brutal suppression. The soldiers effectively barricaded all exits and slaughtered those inside. When the day concluded, a staggering death toll of approximately 30,000 had accumulated. Justinian had the ringleaders and conspirators executed, among them his rival, Hypatius. He then secured his political positions and rebuilt Constantinople, thus ending one of the bloodiest sports riots in human history. All right. Quite fascinating story. And 6 days of riots and revolt ended. And after that, they didn't have any more chariot races. Right? So people got too wound up and too crazy. So you know, it took them 5 years to rebuild the Hippodrome, but I guess the chariot racing that was the end of it. No more chariot racing. There were other spectator events that they had, but other than that, that was pretty much it. All right. So like I said, Constantinople went on from that point for another 30 years, expanded the empire. It was bigger than anything that ever, the biggest empire ever in history, right? And it was, like I said, a golden age for the Byzantine Empire. Now, remember, Constantine basically Constantine the Great basically left Rome and started Constantinople because he saw that Rome was corrupt and child sacrifice and pedophilia, kind of like we're seeing today. All right, so he basically built Constantinople, and then 500 years later, or approximately 400 some odd years later, they had that crazy riot, right? So 300 or 400 years later. So kind of like, what we're seeing here in America, the same buildup. Now we don't have any chariot races anymore, so we don't have to worry about, riots from that. But we definitely have all the ingredients of what that riot caused, dissension and so forth. There's only one remedy, guys. It's only one remedy. We allow them to completely take over, or stop them out, arrest them, right? I'm not going to say the other thing, but I think that's going to happen in a lot of cities. There will be slaughter in many cities, right? So, do I live in a treehouse? Pretty close to it. All right. I live on a mountainside, right? It's pretty cool. It's beautiful. So yeah, Justinian, like I said, now why do I focus on that? And why would I want to see Trump overcome that Nika type riot, right? That we're basically in the midst of. So under the Reconquest, General Belisarius, Justinian's forces recaptured territories from the Germanic tribes, bringing North Africa. Sound kind of interesting. Germanic tribes, what's going on in Ukraine, all right? So they went on to basically conquer and bring peace and stability to a massive, widespread area. So we've heard how America could absorb Canada, could absorb Greenland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. So that would be the same thing, an expansion of the empire, but it can't happen with these riots that are ready to happen, right? So that has to be crushed. That has to be crushed. And once that's crushed, once that's exterminated, and those people that are part of that are in prison or whatever, then we can move on and have a peaceful world. We will not have a peaceful world. We will continue to have these wars, rumors of wars, and on and on and on. And there will be very challenging. There will drain America, and there will destroy America. So legal reforms. So this could also be something that could come from this, I believe. Justinian is best known for his comprehensive legal code, the Corpus Juris Civilis, body of civil law, which consolidated centuries of Roman law, became a foundation for later Western law. So I think we're on the verge of reformulating the law because we're seeing how corrupt it is. And I think that's part of what's coming too. Religious policies. Justinian enforced religious uniformity, attempting to impose a single Christian faith throughout the empire. His religious zeal also led to the construction of the famous Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, like we talked about. Domestic reforms. So we have this Islamic. So being diverse is not our strength. It's never a strength and never has been throughout history. So being uniform and, working together as a team, as a culture and so forth, always produces unbelievable great achievements and golden ages, right? So I think we're on the verge of a golden age, but we can't have these competing radical forms of religion. And Islam is not a radical form of religion, but the Islamists, the radical right wing of Islam, is the Sharia law and so forth. I fought that for almost half my life. it is not good, right? And to see that seeding itself into America, I find that very disturbing. That has to be cleaned up as well. So religious reforms, domestic reforms, Justinian reorganized the imperial government, increased government accountability. We're seeing that now, and worked to reduce corruption. We're seeing that now. And I believe he worked to reduce the government body as a whole, which Trump is also doing. Challenges and disasters. His reign also saw the destruction, like we talked about, Nika riots in 532, first documented outbreak of bubonic plague in the Mediterranean. Now, we've already seen that happen with the COVID, right? So now I think that a lot of these plagues have been foisted on humanity by the deep state, guys, right? Just like we know that they did COVID, and they did the COVID vaccination, and they do all the vaccinations. That's part of the deep state. That is something that has been part of a problem for humanity for a long time, right? So very, very interesting. I think you guys will agree how this all relates to what's going on now. Now, I want to take you into, so I big pictured you, right? So now we need to get down into the meat of some of this stuff. All right, some of the red hat, black hat, white hat stuff, right? So these different factions that are out there that are trying to move us, some in a positive direction and some obviously in a negative direction. Now, I believe that Charlie Kirk, and I don't know how close I am to this, or there could be parts of this I'm accurate on, or if I'm completely off base. I don't think I know I'm not completely off base, but there are, because like I said, I've seen some of the actors on the ground, right? And I know those actors, right? And I know that they're part of probably red hat groups, right? Positive on the Charlie Kirk assassination. So now I think, just like with President Trump's assassination attempt, that was a captured operation. They were coming in to do something very negative, just like on 9/11, how they had put options on all of the airlines that flew into buildings or blew up in the Pentagon, or mysteriously crashed in fields with no aircraft real parts or anything, or bodies or whatever. So it's all set up. That's a deep state black hat operation. Black hat, red hat, right? The red hats, excuse me, the red hats that work for the black hats, right? So what we saw with on 9/11 was a total red hat, black hat operation, right? The red hats for the black hats. And they set up the demolitions and the thermite and, the imaging of planes crashing into buildings, which is completely false and fake, right? Now, a lot of people, they get stuck. They get stuck on, like, the person that supposedly died at Trump's event. They're like, well, what about it's like, it didn't happen, right? Like they said it, duh. All right, if he wasn't, shot, the whole thing is staged. Hello. So the same thing with 9/11. So now with President Trump's assassination, that was a red hat, white hat operation. Okay. So you need to start to make the distinction, right? So you have these secretive, militaristic intelligence groups, right? That work in the white hat favor. And you have the secretive CIA, whatever, FBI, right? Of course, the FBI is being taken back, to a certain extent by Bongino and Cash Patel. So, but you have factions within it still, and they're trying to take those black hat, red hat factions out of there. So I see the CIA and the FBI as kind of like floating red hat groups, right? That can be used by either side. The red hats for the white hats are starting to really get activated and eliminating the black hat red hats, right? So I don't think it's that hard to see that now, because I'm going to continue this line because you need to understand it. It's taken me, I've seen this for a long time. I've seen this my whole career. My whole career, I've seen these operations. And I basically, oh, okay, you're with that group, right? You're with that group. But you're working along with me, and I have to like work with you. Okay. And you're working with me to accomplish what the mission is of the CIA, or the mission is of the SEAL military, and so on and on. But there's these different factions, right? I've seen them throughout time. And a lot of them within the red hat, I would say military side, many of them are retired, or they were in units, and for whatever reason, they didn't quite work out well in those units. And so this red hat group, said, come here, come over here. We'll take you in. We'll give you some good missions, and you don't have to worry about, not fitting in anymore in the other, in the the visible group, right? So now you're going to be part of this invisible group. And just like I was at SEAL Team 6 and in the CIA, I was part of invisible groups, right? Now, I was a SEAL for many years, and then I went to SEAL Team 6, and I became invisible to the regular SEAL teams, because you have completely different groups you work with. Everything's more high speed, all right? Everybody wants to go to that because it's more high speed. Now, the red hats are like that. The red hats on both sides, whether it's white hat or black hat, they each have very high speed stuff, right? Very high tech stuff. And they use that for their side, right? To either take down people on one side or another, right? Just like when we took down Osama bin Laden, right? So I was part of the good guy side. Now, Osama bin Laden was part of, think about it, he was part of the black hat, red hat team. See how this works? So I'm going to continually teach you guys over time how this works. So now there were elements within the CIA that were good, like myself, that helped find him. And there were elements within the military, SEAL Team 6, which helped to take him out. Now, remember that crash that happened with the SEAL Team 6 guys in Afghanistan not too long after the Osama bin Laden takedown? That was payback for the white hats, red hats, taking down their boy, black hat, red hat boy, Osama bin Laden. So they went after the good guys in SEAL Team 6 and crashed that helo. That was payback. It's like, oh, you want to F around and find out? That's what they did, guys. That's how this is bad games. A lot of you guys don't know these games. I do. I'm trying to teach you. So you have the knowledge, you have that shield, so their fear and games don't affect you. you stay true. And like the Nika riots, you're very committed. Got to slaughter that shit. All right. However that happens. All right. However that happens, it has to go. All right. That's part of the black hat, red hat team. All those people that are going to be part of those riots that are coming, that's their team. Whether they know they're part of that team or not, it doesn't matter, guys. They're incorporated into that team. Some of them on a higher level are completely knowledgeable of what they're doing, how they're impacting people. Some people are just dumbed down from kids, right? They're taught stupid and they just are perfect for that role, right? And they don't know that they're in a role that's really destroying America. They think they're making America better. They hate MAGA. They hate making America great again because they burn American flags because they think, we're the problem. That we make America great, and they give them a great place to live, and they resent it. It's stupid the way they think. We know that. But we can't let them have power over us anymore. It has to stop. The Nika riots, they have to stop there. They have to stop with this coming No Kings bullshit. Stop. You gonna have No Kings get together? Oh yeah, you guys get together. How many of you? 1,000 of you? Get 1,000 places where we can store these assholes, right? And when they're least expected, arrest all of them. Boom. 10,000. I don't give a shit. 10,000, 100,000, arrest the whole friggin' group of them, all right? Got to be done. Got to be done. All right. Now, let's go into all of the make-believe that's going on out there and try and educate you guys on how to see, which side is doing what. So you can see who's the good guys and who's the people that need to go away. All right. Who needs to go away? We have a lot. We can't play with these people anymore, guys. All right, so horrifying moment captures Charlie Kirk's assassination. Still people believe, Charlie Kirk was killed. It's okay. It's okay. All right. But I'm gonna give you some information to help you see, maybe break free, because your mind wants to make things fit. You have fear, you have anger, and you want to make things fit a certain way. Right? All right. So that is not blood. First of all, blood does not react that way. And when you get shot by a big caliber bullet, 30-06, that would have blown his head off, not made a little hole, and there's no exit wound. Right? So there you go. You see that. When I saw that, I'm like, well, then now let's see what else is going on, because I know that's bullshit. All right. So who would do this? And I'm thinking. And I'm like, okay, this is probably a red hat for the white hats, red hat operation for the white hats, because we saw how beautiful things happen. We saw, the people got together. We had that stadium that was, some people say it was reserved 4 months, or regardless of however long it was reserved, or whenever they got it, it happened fast. Right? Everything happened fast. Everything was planned, obviously. Right? So there's so many anomalies. I can't go into all of them, but I'm going to just go into a few. From that point there, you should be okay. He was not shot. Whoever that is, whatever that is, if it's a hologram, if it's real, I think it's real. Or maybe some hologram stuff in there. I don't know. But the way everybody moved before and after, it was a planned event. It's a red hat, good guy, white hat, planned event, guys. And it either Charlie Kirk was killed by the black hats, and which I don't think he was. I think he's still alive. I think he's within the red hats now, right? He's in the red hats back in the background still doing his stuff, right? So let's look at a little bit more of this. I'm going to pull this up to a minute at the 1 minute mark. Now, I'm not going to go into all the little details. Now, you guys, you're going to see people, they don't react to a gunshot. Now, when JFK was shot, everybody pointed to the grassy knoll and the picket fence behind which James File shot from. And police officer on his motorcycle went up there. People looked in that direction. There were shots coming all over the place. So people were looking, they were hearing shots all over. But that one shot, the people that are around there, they turned and looked. No one turns and looks at the guy that shot supposedly from the roof. All right. So lots of clues that this is not what it seems. Now I'm gonna zoom in on his neck, and you're gonna see a flash on his neck. A bullet doesn't create an electrical flash, right? It doesn't happen. A bullet just goes in and blows blood and muscle and bone all over the place, right? Which this one would have done if it really had hit him. So watch his neck. Watch the flash. See that flash? That's a flash. That's not a bullet going into the neck and blowing out the back of his neck. And he would have like turned the other way if he had been shot. So let's look at it again. Right there. Focus right there.
Counting gang violence. Great.
See the flash? That's a squib going off that dumps all that fake blood. That like red pudding stuff, right? Now from the neck, all right, you have the carotid and the what's the other one? Carotid artery and the another big one. So anyway, you have two big ones there. So there's a lot of blood coming from the lungs. So you have a lot of oxygen going to the brain. So I don't know, maybe I don't have enough oxygen going to my brain. So I can't remember all this stuff. So anyway, when it hit that, it should have, under pressure, it should have sprayed like the crazy hose that you would see, like when you have water in a hose and the hose burst and it sprays. That's what would have happened there, right? It wouldn't come out like chocolate pudding, right? So thick and just kept coming. It's like, wow, that's not natural, right? So, in any animal, anytime, any human in that condition, never, ever, right? So stop trying to make this fit. Stop yourself, right? Calm down, take a few breaths. Okay, now start to think, what is going on, right? What is going on? What's going on around here, right? So let's go back. 3's a germ.
Great.
All right, the squib went off. So the squib goes off, and then the chocolate pudding comes out, and he falls to the wrong side. Because if I punched you in the neck on that side, you would go the opposite way because the force. All right, you wouldn't fall into my punch. right? So getting punched by a big round, you would have blown back across the other way. And that whole side of your neck would have been gone, and there would be blood splattered all over the place and blood spraying everywhere. So not so much. That didn't happen, guys. Right? So who could have put that together and done that? You just got to think. If it was the Black Hats, they would have like blown that up. Now they tried to blow it up. They had their comedians come on and talk about it, and they had all these other people come in and talk about it, but they were behind the 8 ball because it wasn't their operation. It'd been hijacked, just like it was hijacked for Trump. So all of those people that had, put options on President Trump's assassination on Monday were like, oh, no, we put in a put option, but it wasn't supposed to be for $1 million, and they got away with that. So if I put that in, I'd be like underwater, and they'd be like, yeah, you owe a lot of money. And so on 9/11, same thing. So those Black Hats that should have made a lot of money were scrambling, weren't they? Because it was a seized operation. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. All right. If I talk slow, maybe more people will understand. So if I'm talking slow and you're irritated because you're like, get to the point. So going back to, because, I weave this stuff in because that's what Trump does. That's what Juan O'Savin does, weaves it in. So go back to 9/11 and all those put options on the day that it happened, and somebody made a lot of money. The FBI knows who made all that money, but they haven't told us. They haven't told us. I think that's bullshit. That's because they know. Because if I did it, my name would be all over the place. Michael Jaco put in 1 million put options on United. How the hell did he know that? He made $1 billion. How could he have known? Everybody would be like, oh man, George Bush would have been, he's not with us. He's against us. Oh, shut up. Oh, whatever. So Black Hat, Red Hat operation. And, we had all the dancing, what was it? Dancing Muslims or something, dancing Arabs, but they were Israeli. Now they're trying to tie in the Israeli thing on Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens, what's going on there? So I'm just watching that. I don't feel that so much, but it is out there, right? It is out there for us to look at it and go, So I don't know. They have been an issue in the past, but are they this time? Now we have the Gaza situation. President Trump did get the peace Nobel Peace Prize because he's like stopped. I mean, like, isn't that his like 100th thing that he stopped war? Something crazy. Maybe not that much, but he's done a lot. And of course, they gave it to a Venezuelan woman that is, having people march for peace in Venezuela. That's a good thing. Now, she was really cool, and she basically dedicated it to President Trump. And why? Because he's coming in firm, like the Nika riots. He's coming in firm on Venezuela, and he could flip Venezuela. Now, President Trump getting peace in Gaza. Still got an issue with Iran. Still got an issue with Iran. That's got to be fixed. I've been in the Middle East, guys. Where did most of the terrorism and the problems come from? Iran. I'm an expert. I've been there. I know. Iran is the problem. Not all of Iran, not all of the Iranian people. The government, the Nazi government of Iran has to be replaced. Just like the Venezuelan government has to be replaced. Now, you can exert pressure the way Donald Trump is in the cities and on Iran and on Israel and on Venezuela. It's got all these Marines landing all around, all these ships, firing missiles and boats, narcotic boats burning up in the middle of the water. Putting pressure on them, squeezing them, right? Cutting off their funding, all of them, cutting off their funding. Ukraine, cutting off the funding, drying it up, right? So that's good. So we're seeing that. So that's a white hats are doing well against the black hats right now. But the black hats are going to use their red hats to cause some problems, cause issues. And that's going to be the No Kings riots. And it has to be crushed. It has to be ruthlessly and hammer time crushed. Ruthless. We're starting to see it with some of these Antifa and even the police. Remember, maybe you don't, but I was coming out, I was saying when in Chicago, where the ICE guys, they had 10 cars, like box them in, and somebody got out with a gun. Now they're saying that she had a gun in her purse, a handgun in her purse. Like, God, these guys lie. So anyway, supposedly she came out with a gun and they shot back, and she got wounded. And then she went to the hospital. She took herself to the hospital because they couldn't get at her because they're like trying to survive. During that time frame, the Chicago police were told to stand down and not help them. And I said, Chicago police, don't help them. And now the Chicago police are like defying orders. We need more of that in these deep state cities. Good people, define the deep state. So we have Chicago police now that are basically going against the rioters. Yay. Right? So I like that. That we can say, you don't want to help, then we're not going to help you. And they're like, oh hell no. We want to be part of the team. You know, those guys, screw those guys. So good job. That's what we want. All right. So we're going to talk smack. If they don't get online, then they don't get helped, and then they go away. Right. Now I like how I say that about Chicago guys. Good job. So there's some good blood in Chicago. I can say that about California, and Californians were like, shut up, Mike. Like, what? Shut up what? Get your ass out there and get to work. Not a lot of hope for California. All right, so California, all the cities destroyed, right? And then good people will come in and rebuild, right? So is that going to happen for Chicago? Very good chance, but we are getting some good help from at least some of those police. Hoo-yah. Hoo-yah. All right, so now maybe that's why when I look at all of my views, Chicago is one of the biggest viewers. Maybe Chicagoans really want to kick ass. They don't want Nikita riots. All right. So they're going to take care of business themselves. I love that. People, right? So we're going to continue to see good go forward, and then we're going to continue to see bullshit from people that are in positions of power, right? Now, you guys are like, oh, Mike, that was real. What happened with Charlie and his wife and his children? You don't know what you're talking about. All right, so let's look at some things. Let's look at what's out there recent. So these are the recent things that are coming out, but this has been a long time. And I'm going to loop it back to 9/11 because we're learning about this stuff a lot faster now. Robin Williams' daughter slams AI videos of her late dad. So we've been talking about this for a while, how like some of this stuff with, Biden, and because that was not Biden. Biden was taken out before he ever made it to the White House. Never made it to the White House, right? All right. So we saw a lot of AI. We saw AI with Osama bin Laden. There were AI stuff on Osama bin Laden, actors, just like with Biden. So a lot of these people, there's actors and AI. Watch this.
Never said this or this.
Somewhere in heaven, there's a booking agent going, he's available Thursday, but only as a hologram.
This isn't him either.
Welcome back to the Cloud9 podcast.
They're all fake. To casual viewers, they might seem funny or even inspiring. But Robin Williams' youngest daughter, Zelda, isn't laughing, pleading on social media for people to stop making and sending her these clips. If you've got any decency, just stop doing this to him and to me, to everyone even, she writes. It's dumb, it's a waste of time and energy, and believe me, it's not what he'd want. Robin Williams died by suicide in 2014 after...
Yeah, he died by suicide, yeah. He was suicided. All right, so, and I'm not laughing about that. And was he really suicided? Or did he go into Valhalla? Right, so... I don't know where Charlie Kirk and so many others have gone, right? Now, this AI stuff is not something new, guys. I was pointing this out long ago, back during 9/11. So we're looking at almost a quarter century. Been talking about this. I didn't understand it. I didn't know how it was, but I'm like, there's something wrong about that plane just disappeared into that building. It just disappeared in the building. And then it blew up on the other side. Wow. So it's like seeing Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck and nothing coming out the back and black pudding coming out of his neck. And then seeing the squib blow and all those SEALs, former SEALs all around him, moving him. Red hats. All right, so let's look at a black hat operation. Black hat, red hat. So the red hats are the ones that have put all this stuff together and create this facade and, brainwash people. Because remember how we would see the planes going into the buildings over and over and over again. I'm like, it's not real. It's not real. I kept saying it and people didn't like it because there's so many other people that were like brainwashed by it. And it's like, so a lot of people are like, it's a plane. They said it's a plane. Yeah. My whole family, I saw it. You didn't see it. You saw a hologram. You didn't see a plane crash in there. So let's look at that plane disappearing into that building. Look at that wing. Just doesn't look right, does it? Now that we know CGI and special effects a lot more, that wing kind of just disappears over there. And disappears a little bit more and disappears a little bit more. And then the fuselage disappears. Then it disappears some more. and just disappears. Just disappears. Now, when you see that now, do you still believe it? How many of you still believe that? How many? How many still believe that? Huh? How many? Come on. I don't see anybody saying anything. Jugular. Thank you, James Ryan. Jugular. Yeah. So carotid in the jugular. How many people believe that that plane crashed in that building? And if you do,
better not cry, better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming. You better watch out, you better not cry.
because you still believe in Santa Claus too, don't you? Hey, you know, if you still believe that the planes crash into buildings, it's okay. You still believe in Santa Claus? I did it one time. I believed in Santa Claus too one time. Yeah, they taught us how to believe in bullshit early on, didn't they? Brainwashing us from the beginning. And you know, that Easter Bunny and God, so much bullshit. They brainwash our kids from an early start. And so it's much easier. It's much easier when they get older to brainwash them. Right. So once you see it, can't unsee it. All right. So you know, I've been talking about the problems with earthquake activity and so forth, how I believe it's coming. And part of that is because kind of like that Nika riot thing. So, and in 2012, December 2012, we were supposed to like basically have a major earth change activity, and it got delayed. It got delayed so more people could wake up. All right. So now we're at that point again where these earth changes are about to happen. So we're seeing a massive uptick in earthquakes, moving very rapidly into some what's going to be very catastrophic, I believe, events. Now, can they be reversed? Absolutely. We haven't seen hurricanes hitting, have we? All right. So very unusual activity this year with those huge hurricanes that just I think for probably the first time, I mean, we have one or two that, you know, curve out to the Atlantic, but every one of them, wow, that's amazing, right? Part, I believe, consciousness, part deep state, having their weapon systems basically compromised by the White Hats, right? So the Columbia River. Now, when I was a very young man, hard hat diver, before I was 20 years old, I remember my sub-rescue ship, converted ocean-going tug. We went up the Columbia River to the Portland Rose Festival, most beautiful city in America at the time. And Mount St. Helens had been erupting. And so it erupted some more with ash. I remember I was at a bar one night and we came out and there was like ash falling. Well, that ash went into the Columbia River and our ship couldn't sail back down to the Pacific Ocean because there were some areas that were clogged up by all the ash. And so we were very happy because we got to stay in beautiful Portland. Now, would I like to do that now? Absolutely. That's a hellhole. That would be like, why are you saying it? Did we do something wrong? What happened? So the Columbia River, very strange things are happening.
Unthinkable has shaken that sense of permanence. In August 2025, instruments and eyewitnesses confirmed the river's current suddenly reversed direction. Barges rocked as if caught in a storm. Fishermen stood stunned as waves surged upstream instead of down. And satellites captured the eerie sight of ripples racing the wrong way across one of America's most iconic rivers. What could cause such a phenomenon? Experts scrambled for explanations. Some pointed to unusual atmospheric rivers, massive storms dumping torrential rains into tributaries that overwhelmed normal flow. Others suspected seafloor pressure changes along the Pacific, where tectonic forces might have subtly lifted ocean levels, shoving water inland. A few whispered about something even darker: seismic shifts deep in the Cascadia subduction zone, the same fault capable.
So little subtle things like Charlie Kirk's neck billowing out black pudding instead of bright red blood, oxygenated blood from the lungs, which is right next to it, next to the jugular and the carotid. Thank you, sir. So, little things, little whispers of problems coming. All right. You pay attention or you just blow it off. Right. So now big earthquakes have pushed water up the Columbia River, and the Indians have given tales. The American Indians of that area have given have tales, where they pass, down to their next generation, tales, right? Histories where the water reversed and caused flooding deep up the Columbia River, way up, right? So what would cause that? Well, when they did, they looked at the plant life and so forth, they can see the trees were ripped as if something like a tsunami had happened. And they found that, these happen every 120 years or so. And almost like on cue. And they can look back and see all that from the past. Well, guess what? We're overdue. We're overdue. And then you got the Columbia River reversing, and you have a volcano out on the Cascadia that's erupting with seismic activity all over the place and massive seismic activity all around the globe. I don't know. I'm glad I'm way inland, high up. So, liquefaction, that's right. So some of you guys know this stuff, done your homework. Did you learn that in school? Probably not, but maybe if you were a geologist, you went through, all that schooling to learn all that stuff. I wanted to do that one time, but I was like, nah, I can learn that stuff better on my own. I just do my own research and become a Navy SEAL. Otherwise, I'll probably be a football player and professional football player, and that's not as cool as a Navy SEAL. It's amazing how life takes you in certain directions, right? So Muslims attempt to murder Belgium prime minister. All right, so this happened yesterday. So the Islamists that have been invited into all of these countries to basically replace the citizens of those countries by the European Union. So when I was in, I can't say where, but I was in countries with the CIA, and we actually discovered through some of our sources that used to go around Islamist, and they discovered that there was going to be a king and a prime minister that were going to be assassinated. And we relayed that information, and then the basically the chief of station, COS of the place that where I was at the time, got massive awards from back in Virginia. So very, very good. So there are good people out there doing good things, but evidently that's not happening anymore. All right. So now, again, who would do this? Black hats with their red hats. So who possibly gave them a heads up? White hats on the red hat side, right? And maybe the red hats stopped it out, or maybe the white hats just informed them. I don't know. But regardless, they stopped out what probably would have been the Belgian prime minister being killed, right? So like I said, part of the work that I did was expose some of the stuff and keep some of these people alive so that they could, I guess, bring in all these Muslim types and, get themselves killed by them. Nika riots, right? Nika riots happening in a lot of these countries. All right. So the other things, yesterday I went pretty deep into the stock market sell-off. So if it's a certain percentage that happens on a certain day, it's a crash. Now over a long period of days and weeks and months, a crash is more like a 25, 30% pullback, but on a daily basis, you can have crashes. And we had a crash on Friday. So President Trump came out and said 100% tariffs on China. And we found out that China is playing some games, right? China's playing some games. We got a lot of Chinese here in America. And weren't the Chinese involved in the 2020 election? And didn't that bioweapon come from China? And there's some problems with China, guys. And Trump's on to them, right? So be heads up. We might have some problems going forward. But the stock market took a little dive. Now, I think Monday, the banks are closed or something. So let's listen to this one. I'm going to play this one. And then Tuesday they open. So we may see more of a downturn potentially in the next couple of days, more of a sell-off. Or we may get some dip buyers. But I think it's a dead cat bounce. If the stock market goes up, it's a dead cat bounce. I said 2 weeks ago that we're probably going to see a 30% pullback. And guess who else just recently came out and said that? Anybody? Right? It's hard to guess these, but Jamie Dimon says there's a 30% chance of a correction. And he said that, when was it? Wednesday? October 9th. What was that? Is that Wednesday or was that Friday? It was Thursday. So he said it on Thursday, and whoa, the next day the stock market crashes. All right. So there's a 30% chance of a correction. I'm far more worried than others. And he says it's probably closer than usual. He says dip buyers showed their teeth again on Wednesday, scooping up sold off tech stocks. So there was a little bit of sell off on Tuesday, I think, in particular after NVIDIA, CEO, blah, blah, blah. NVIDIA sold off massively on Friday. So whatever NVIDIA CEO said didn't mean anything come Friday. But simmering doubts over how much AI can keep pushing the market. Like I've said, AI is like the dot-com bust, guys. It's going to be the dot-com bust. Now, I think we're going to have a 30% pullback. And then after it cleans up some, remember I talk about how there's gaps in the market that have to be filled. That's always the way it works, whether it's going to be a crash that fills them or whether it's a pullback, a healthy pullback, and then another takeoff, which I think is coming. So don't get too freaked out. But it could be, this could be it. I don't know. Or it could just go up tomorrow or on Monday and just keep going up again. I don't know. But my feeling is, like Jamie Dimon's, is we're going to see a 30% correction, right? So if the market is pricing in 10%, he said, I would say it's more like 30%. So the market's already been pricing in 10% coming. And now we're seeing a massive takeoff.
Little did anybody know that Friday night, President Trump would drop a bombshell on the world that said equity futures crashing and trigger a crypto Armageddon. And get this, we saw 1.6 million accounts completely liquidated. We're talking $19 billion evaporated within minutes. And what we're facing here is a rare earth hostile letter. That's what Trump's angry about. And it's not just China slapping back. They're about to idle American factories here. They're going to put hundreds of thousands of Americans on the unemployment line and potentially even send inflation surging at the worst possible time. Now, I warned you about rotating into the dollar, and my subscribers, they're cashing in big because they got stopped out of their equity longs ahead of the move on Friday. We're already in long dollar, short euro, and even treasury positions here. Now, it's not too late because come Monday, there are more liquidations are likely to happen. Tuesday, the banks reopen. Watch out for what happens then. Now, let's take a look at China's aggressive.
All right. So Stephen Van Meter really on top of whenever the market really goes down, he's on it. He's really good on that, like I am. So yes, Gail, silver hit over 50. Silver pulled back because there was massive shorting positions and so forth that were being hammered. I think that we could see silver really take off now, right? If there's going to be this 30% pullback that I'm believing is going to happen, but it might not. So don't invest from what I'm saying, but just be aware, look around, be aware. So if that happens and we get a little bit of a pullback on silver, I think it's really then going to really release. So Friday, when everything sold off, the dollar, crypto. Now, crypto was really hammered. I watched it for an hour, and it was mesmerizing how much it sold off within an hour. It was catastrophic looking. Now, what would cause it to go down at that rate? Well, some of it could be, which I think happened, is a lot of people have their stuff on margin. So if there's a margin call, which I think did happen on Friday, I'm sure it did, because when the stock market goes down like that, they do margin calls. And a margin call is basically you're using, like, let's say you have 50% of your stock or crypto that you have money on it, and the other 50% that you bought is on margin. And I'm just using an example. And then they come in, the market starts going down. So that means there's not as much money that's covering the asset because it's going down. So they do what's called margin call, and you need to put in more money to cover what's, the difference. And if you're not there to do that, then they sell your stuff and to cover that margin. And that often happens in big market drops like that. So they just start selling stock and crypto and so forth, and it really drives that price down on a massive level. Now, I want to show you guys, and I think I showed you guys some of this yesterday, but I want to show you how much XRP went down on Friday. I was like, wow, it was like over 50%. Now, the reason why I want to show you that, and looks like XRP is down a little bit more today, but the reason why I want to show you that is I want to show you, because I've been telling you guys, you better be in silver, and you better start taking some of your stuff out of the stock market, put in silver, right? If it's a 401k and you're 59 and a half, get with Dr. Kirk Elliott, and he can help you get your some of your portfolio into silver. If you have other retirement accounts, IRAs and so forth, you can put some of that into silver depository. I recommend depository, depending on how much you got. If you're pretty healthy, retirement, you should have it in a depository. And I think you have to, if you have a retirement account, you got to have to put it in a depository. You can't hold it, right? So let's look at, and those of you that have extra money, you should be putting it into silver, right? Now look at that. That's XRP, right? This is a 1 hour chart here for Friday. Now it started up here. It was like 284. What was it the day before? It was at it was like $3 on like maybe Monday or something like that. It was 304, 308. So it went all the way down to 138 from 308. All right. That's what is that? 60, almost 70% or something crazy in a few hours. So if you're at work doing whatever you're doing, you're out skiing or you're like playing whatever you're doing, or you're working hard and somebody says the stock market's crashing, and you go look and your portfolio with your XRP is now almost wiped out. This is coming. This is coming, right? And it can happen that fast within hours. And if you're not on it, or if you don't have stop losses or whatever, a stop loss is basically where, let's say, you don't want to lose more than a certain amount. And this can be a problem too, because you can do a stop loss where, let's say, you bought in at $2 and it goes up to $3, and you're like, well, I don't want to. If it goes back to 250, I don't want to lose any more than that. And so it sells. So that's a stop loss. So it sells when it hits 250. But as you guys can see here, it went down a lot more. So if it stayed down there, you'd be like, whew, man, I would have lost everything. But what it did is it went a little bit past that amount, and then it came back up. That can be a bummer, right? So this is a tough game right now. But ultimately, if you're an XRP and you're holding it, I'm not giving you any advice, but if you still hold it, I think you're going to be okay long term. But I could be wrong. I sold mine out. I made a ton of money on XRP. Ridiculous. Both times, way back when it first came out, I believe, and then again more recently, I had a dream where I was like, put everything in XRP. So I put an XRP in and it took off, and I'm like, oh, thank you, God. So, and I told a lot of you, so obviously a lot of you benefited, hopefully, but it can go lower, or it can go, I don't know, maybe it could go to the moon. I don't think so. I don't think crypto is going to be our savior, although a lot of people do. It's my take on it. Every time the stock market goes down, as you guys can see, it crashed on Friday, and crypto crashed too. So eventually, the stock market absolutely is the last man standing. It's going to go down. Now, the only way that crypto is going to go up is if it breaks away and becomes some kind of new monetary system, which a lot of people think it is. I don't, right? So we'll see. We'll see. It's a huge gamble to be in crypto right now, in my opinion. So I think it's going to go lower, potentially. It could be. The only reason I go in crypto is because it's like, for me, it's like a no-brainer. I'm going to make money on it, right? I know the patterns of it. I made money, crazy amounts of money on crypto because I know the patterns. I get in before it goes up. I get out before it goes down, and I wait. And then before it goes up, I get in again. It's just so easy. Now, I don't think it's going to be easy in the future. I think pretty much everything goes down, right? So it's up for silver. It's up for silver and gold. Silver and gold. Silver and gold. And if you don't have it, you're going to wish you did. And a lot of you probably are wishing you did now, because I'm so glad. Silver. So glad I listened to my intuition this time on silver, because the last time I was like, I get a little bit. And I was like, get the silver. That intuition was going, you better get it. You better get it. And I was like, I'll get it. I'll get it. Be cool. And then it went, woo. I'm like, dang it. This time I'm like, okay, I'm in it. I'm listening now. Tell me what I need to know. I'll tell everybody else. Maybe if I tell everybody else, I'm helping people, and God will like that, and he'll help me some more. So, so that's kind of the way I see it. I think a lot of you guys are going to benefit. You've already benefited if you've been listening and you got in it. I hear from a lot of you very happy with your silver portfolios. You've done really, really well, like I have. So, and it's just beginning, I think. No, I know it's just beginning, right? So hopefully you'll be able to stick with it. Let's look at a couple more things. Let's look at Johnny Bravo. I like Johnny Bravo. I follow him. He's a funny guy. If nothing else, you get a good laugh from Johnny Bravo.
Armies get all freaked out. Today was the first day that they figured out, oh my gosh, so my whole account can go to zero? I say, yes, Scott, zero. It's all gone. You have leverage. Also, good luck trying to get it off the exchanges. Those of us that have been in this market for a long time.
Yes, listen to this man. All right. So there was a time, I remember, when crypto was like selling. I had to get out. I was like, damn it, I should have listened to myself and gotten out sooner. So I'm trying to get out, and it's like, it ain't working. It wasn't working, and not good. So that's another problem that you're going to have if you have your portfolios in stock market. You'll be calling, you'll be trying to like execute, nothing's working. It's like the internet goes down, and like you saw with that huge drop, you finally get in, you're like, there's nothing left. You're zero. They close your account out because you didn't meet margins and all kind of crazy stuff.
Familiar. Actually, in just about every market crash, because I put in shorts, these guys won't let you. Actually, this article says, take your funds off centralized exchanges immediately. Coinbase and Robinhood users are reporting issues selling and withdrawing their crypto. Really? Robinhood? I've never heard of this before. Coinbase? No.
Yes, both of them. Coinbase, I got out of Coinbase a long time ago. I had an insider tell me, you better get out. So I'm glad I listened. Now, I did really well in Coinbase when everything was smooth and calm. And then I saw, market turmoil, not good, because they'll shut down and they won't let you take out but so much or put in but so much, because it's very volatile. And they know that if they make you wait, they're going to make more money, right? So in the build up to this, stock market turmoil, and you're like trading. So if everything's cool and I'm trading, it's great. But if turmoil hits, those exchanges suck, right? You're going to get hammered, right? And I'm sure a lot of people, unfortunately, got hammered on Friday. So word to the wise, it's up to you. Some of you guys just know better than old Mike and old Johnny Bravo, right? So that's pretty much what I got. Hope that helps you guys out. That thing about the red hats and the black hats and the white hats, it's something that I think I'm giving the world that's going to be very valuable, right? For everyone to realize this, right? And you're going to be able to put people in their rightful categories, and it's not going to be confusing for you. You're going to see through stuff a lot faster. You're going to be like me. You look at Charlie Kirk, non-bullet, non-blood, instantly know it and go, okay, there's something else going on here. What else do I need to look at? And I'm just like that. I'm like that detective that's, just crushing everything. And I figured out, like, bam, 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 bam. So that's what you want to look for. Oh, you guys like my LifeWave? Right. So I got my LifeWave on. right? My grip is very strong again, right? Was a little bit weak, but now it's doing really well. And I get a lot of great stuff from LifeWave and LifeWave water, which is coming. It's light. You drink light. It's amazing. So a lot of good technologies in LifeWave. I know a lot of you guys are starting to get in. I do shows, separate shows where I talk about LifeWave, have people come in and talk about LifeWave. So jump on those. Jump on those. Get in those. Figure that stuff out. Get involved in LifeWave. I think we have the best team in all of LifeWave, and LifeWave's amazing. Have a lot of great teams, but we really help our people excel and do really well. So anyway, bottom line, LifeWave, everybody should be using it. If you're not using it, check out my website, LifeWave Michael Jaco, right? So yeah, it'll give you some insights, and if you want more info, there's an info button down there, and I have a team that'll help you out. I'll help you out. You build a business, you're going to go far with our group, guys. All right, lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, and I will see you guys next time.